Aiden O'Connell might not make this roster, and if you have been riding with this team for the last 3 years, that one lands hard. The slot corner this defense is built around is skipping practice over a contract dispute with no guaranteed money left on his deal. And the receiver room is still thin, with 2 names being pushed right now as the answer this offense needs. 3 stories today, all of them pointing at the same question. Is this front office handling the hard decisions the right way? Raider Nation, stay right here. The Raiders traded for one of the best slot corners in football, and right now, Taron Johnson is not on the practice field. And according to Vincent Bonsignore of the Las Vegas Review-Journal, the reason is a contract dispute. Johnson has $18 million on the books for 2026 and 2027, and none of it is guaranteed. He is not asking for more money. He is asking for security. He wants some of that salary guaranteed, so the Raiders cannot cut him the moment he gets injured again. And honestly, when you look at his situation, clearly that is not an unreasonable ask from a player who has dealt with injuries and knows exactly how this league treats veterans the second they become a liability. But here is where it gets complicated. Johnson is brand new to this organization. He has not taken a single snap for this team yet. He has no equity built up in this building, no history with this coaching staff, and no leverage beyond the fact that the Raiders need him healthy and ready to play slot corner in a defense that is counting on him to be one of its most important pieces. The Raiders only gave up a late-round pick swap to get him from Buffalo, which means releasing him would not be a catastrophic loss for this front office if it came to that. That is not a comfortable position for Johnson to be negotiating from. Now, the voluntary workouts being skipped is one thing. Voluntary means voluntary, and plenty of veterans use this time of year as leverage in exactly this kind of situation. But mandatory minicamp is a completely different conversation. If Johnson skips those, the Raiders start fining him, and at that point, the situation moves from a quiet dispute to a real problem. The good news is the Raiders are not without options. Second-round pick Traden Stukes is versatile enough to play in the slot if this situation goes sideways. That gives this front office at least some leverage in these negotiations. But Stukes playing slot corner is not the plan. It is the backup plan. And nobody in Raider Nation wants to be running the backup plan at one of the most critical positions in this defense before Week 1 even arrives. This one is going to hurt for a lot of people in Raider Nation. Aiden O'Connell is being predicted to get cut before this season starts, and Bleacher Report's Mo Moton laid out exactly why that outcome is hard to avoid. The Raiders signed Kirk Cousins and used the #1 overall pick on Fernando Mendoza. That is 2 quarterbacks ahead of O'Connell on the depth chart before training camp even opens. And according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, Cousins is likely to be the Week 1 starter. That leaves O'Connell as the 3rd quarterback on a roster that only has room for 2. Moton made the point clearly. Rarely do you see a 3rd-string quarterback as the best player who could lose his roster spot. But that is exactly the situation O'Connell is in right now. And here is what makes this genuinely difficult to process. This is not a player who failed this franchise. O'Connell threw for 3,922 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions across 21 games, including 17 starts over his time here. He stepped in when this team had nothing at quarterback and gave Raider Nation something to root for when there was very little else to hold on to. He was never asked to be the answer. He was asked to hold the line until the answer arrived. And he did that. He did exactly what was asked of him. But the NFL is a ruthless business, and the answer has arrived in the form of Mendoza and Cousins. Moton also noted that O'Connell may not have much trade value despite his production. Teams might simply wait for him to hit free agency in 2027, rather than give up anything to get him now. His athletic limitations at an evolving position and his expiring contract make him a tough sell as a trade asset. We feel this one in our chest. Every single person in Raider Nation who watched O'Connell fight for this team knows he deserved better circumstances than what he was handed here. But the rebuild is moving forward, and sometimes the hardest part of building something new is saying goodbye to the people who held things together while everything around them was falling apart. The receiver room needs help, and 2 names are being pushed right now as the answer. Mac Hollins as a potential trade target from the New England Patriots, and Jalen Naylor as the veteran signing who could finally break out in Las Vegas. Fansided's Jake Beckman made the case for Hollins on May 16th. The Patriots are expected to have a very full receiver room once they add A.J. Brown, and Hollins is likely the odd man out in New England. Last season with the Patriots, Hollins posted a 67.5 overall PFF grade, caught 46 passes on 64 targets for 550 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, and averaged 12 yards per reception with 112 yards after the catch. Those are real numbers from a real receiver who has been productive everywhere he has played. Hollins spent the 2022 season in Las Vegas, so he already knows what it means to wear silver and black. Beckman was direct about what this would mean. Hollins is not a number 1 or even a number 2 receiver, but he is an upgrade over at least one of the players currently on this depth chart, and he brings veteran experience that a rookie quarterback needs around him. That is not nothing. Now here is where the real optimism comes in. Bleacher Report's Alex K listed Jalen Nailor as one of 5 underrated players who will surprise their new team in 2026. And the case is hard to dismiss. Nailor spent 4 seasons in Minnesota, buried behind Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, catching just 69 balls for 1,066 yards across that entire stretch. Not because he was not good enough, because he never had the opportunity. The Raiders signed him to a 3-year, $35 million deal, and Kay believes that contract could end up being one of the best value signings of this entire offseason. In Las Vegas, Nailor is not competing for targets behind 2 All-Pros anymore. He is the focal point of a passing attack built around Fernando Mendoza, and Kay believes the volume alone is going to unlock a version of Nailor that this league has never seen before. The receiver room is not fixed yet, but between Hollins as a potential trade addition and Nailor finally getting his shot, there are real reasons to believe this group looks different by week 1 than it does right now. Johnson needs to get in that building and get this resolved. This defense cannot afford that distraction going into week 1. O'Connell gave everything he had for this franchise, and he deserved better circumstances than what he got here. And the receiver room is not finished. Hollins could be the move, and Nailor finally has the stage to show this league what he is worth. 3 questions. The answers are coming. Drop your take in the comments. This space belongs to everyone who lives by just win, baby, and never walked away from the silver and black.